Okay, welcome to another podcast. It's good to see you guys. I wish we could see you. It'd be nice, but it's good to see you, Moshe. Hope things are
Yeah,
going
and
well for
you.
you. You look great. I
Oh, thank you very
I
much. You
I
too.
like the fact that we both wear the same clothes every week.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
hope we're washing them in between sessions.
That's all for hair and makeup and wardrobe to sort out. I
Oh,
don't even think about it.
yeah. We actually have duplicate sets in the trailer outside.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, let's get started. We started last week at verse 9 of chapter 3. We
Yeah.
ended up around 12, 13, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so let's
Yeah.
pick it up right back up.
Beautiful. So we were talking about a big part of what we were talking about last time is not to misframe our origins, because really when we think about Adam and Eve and this story, we're talking about where we as a people came from, and the instinct to be mad at them, or to think that they did wrong in some way, or that they caused a lot of suffering in the world, is really to be mad at one's own existence. And I think it's a mistake, because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't even be here. To argue that they shouldn't have lived how they lived resulted in all of human history, I think is to overlook the point. So V'yomer ha'adam, Adam is responding to God, who said, "How did this all come about? How was it you arrived here?" And he starts saying, "Well, God says, I suspect that you ate from the fruit." And he said immediately, "Ha'isha, the woman, asher natata." Now, notain is to give. If you're there in the synagogue when the Torah is carried out from the holy cupboard, you'll hear notain ha-Torah, who gives the Torah. But if you have a ta ending, that means you did it in the past tense. If I want to say I gave, I say natati, I gave. If I want to say you gave, I say natata, you gave. So this is Adam saying that God gave the woman imadi with me. He natana, she gave it to me, the fruit min ha'etz v'ochel, and I ate. So okay, this is one pitch. He seems to be either saying she's the one that figured it out, she's the one that should have the credit, or he's saying she's the one that made the mistake. We'll have to figure out which one that is when we see the end of the story. So what does God do? Well, God turns, V'yomer Adonai Elohim, Le'isha. He speaks to the Isha, to the woman. And he says, Ma zot asit, what's this you did? Now, there's a little bit foreshadowing here, because that phrase, Ma zot asit, is just like when Avimelech speaks to Abraham, and also when Pharaoh speaks to Abraham, because Abraham represented his wife as his sister, which is a half-truth. And then they get in trouble, and then they say, "What's this you did to him? You've got me in trouble with God." And this also happens again in the reverse in the story of Jacob, where Jacob says to Laban, "What is it that I did to you that gets you so angry at me?" So there's this slightly accusatory vibe, but he's asking it. Adam just told me what he thinks. You tell me. Leisha mazot asid. What's this you did? V'tomer, and she said, Isha, so that's who did it. V'tomer ha'isha, she said, the woman. Hanachash, the snake. Hisiani v'ochel. He did something, and I ate. Now, we did speak recently about what this might be. There's a couple of different ways for you to interpret this. Now, one thing to do is to go into Zavaria, which is a pretty good translation. It's a wonderful resource, but occasionally they go with the, mainstream interpretation and depart somewhat from the words on the page. But here it says, Hishani, what does it say? The serpent duped me. The serpent duped me. Now, is this the word for dupe? Well, nasa means, it says here, to beguile, to deceive, to beguile, to deceive, utterly right. But anywhere else you find it in the Torah, it'll mean something else. To lend interest to a creditor. Okay, so nasha. I want to show you some of the other interpretations which I found and see how these compare. So, first of all, we can see the Toma ha'isha and Nachash hishani v'ochel, and I ate. Well, this is too many words, too many letters in the word, because the three-letter verb root has got three letters, and the three letters are here. Shin, Yod, Aleph. These are the three letters, so I'll turn them black so they stand out. But actually, the yard is extra. That's not in the root we just saw a minute ago, so we can say that's extra. We can also say this hay at the beginning is not part of it. This is part of the binyan and not part of the word, right? So this has an extra hay and extra yod, which is a hifil, is causative. So he caused something. We need to see what the root is. And it ends in ani. Now, what does ani mean in Hebrew? Ani, ata, at, hem, hen. So ani is I. So he, shiani, means he caused something to me. So if we go into the root and say nasa means married. Dun, dun, dun. He caused married to me. He caused me to be married. This naked snake in the garden, those themes of connection, of realizing one is naked, of making family, of getting married, of the embarrassment of nakedness, all of this is coming back again and saying the snake married me. It could say to rise, to be arrogant. The snake rose and was arrogant. This seems like a hitpal, so not a hifil. To bear, to carry, to tolerate, to marry, to give a speech. So if you look at bear and carried, I can say, Rod walks in, I'm in his kitchen, he walks in and finds this peanut butter everywhere. It's on my face, it's in my hair, it's on the work surface on the floor. And he says, what happened? And I can say, I tried to make a sandwich and I got carried away.
Right.
I got carried away is passive. It doesn't say who carried me away.
Right.
But she can be saying here, he carried me away. He persuaded me, right? So it can say will carry pocket scanners. I don't know. Oh, no, that's just the example sentence.
Right.
There's no pocket scanners.
I wasn't sure they had pocket scanners back there.
No, there's a little bit later than this, yeah. But will bear fruits. And also there's that idea of marry again. So it's two things, really. The plain meaning of it is he carried me away. Like I got carried away by his ideas. He persuaded me. He carried me off with his mind. The other thing is I got married. I got naked with my husband. So all of this is coming to say we realized we were naked. We're two compatible people. I mean, we're made from the same cloth, right? Cut from the same cloth. So there's a little bit. So what does God react? What is God's reaction? So first of all, he asks the man. The man says the woman. Then he asks the woman. The woman says the snake. So is he going to ask the snake? V'yomer Adonai Elohim el hanachash. God said to the nachash, to the snake, Ki asita zot. Because you did this, arur atah. Cursed are you. Now this is a real problem for us.
It is.
Because the snake is cursed. Effectively, if God's saying you're cursed, it's God that cursed him. But God brought this snake around. God caused this snake to exist. No one else could have brought it about. No one else could have caused it to exist. Right? God knew what it was doing the whole time, seemingly sent it into this situation to cause this to clarify this paradox. And it says, Mikal, from all, habahema, all of the land animals, or Mikal chayat hasadeh, and from all the life, the chayat, the life of hasadeh, the fields, you're cursed more than anything. Which is really interesting. And whether you think that this was a mistake they made, in which case, what's the snake done wrong? Or if you think this is a problem that they've solved, in which case, why is the snake in trouble? Well, let's chase it a little bit further and say what's happening. It says, Al gechoncha telech. Now, holech is to go. The taf means she will go or you will go. And of course, God's talking to the Nachash. So you will go, al on gechoncha. Now, what's a gechon? It's a lean or a bend. Well, you don't have to look far on a snake to find a bend. It's all bend, right? So you're going to go on your bend. Now, you say that to some Englishman in a pub on a Friday night, it might lead to a kerfuffle. On your bend, mate. But to a snake, it's pretty much the standard form of transport, right?
Yeah.
They're all bend all day. So it goes a little further, though. It says, V'afar, and dust tochal, and dust you will eat. Well, again, you're just a neck with a face, and you eat stuff on the ground, you're going to get a bit of dust with it. And it says, Kol yamei chayecha. Now, of course, we're used to seeing a snake all bent and no legs, right?
Right.
But actually, even if you look at a skeleton of a snake, you can often find vestigial limbs from a time when they had legs. So, make of that with what you will. We don't have to assume that the world here is the world that we recognize from today. The world we recognize is the way we recognize it because of this book, because of this conversation. So all the days of your life, you will go on your bend and you'll eat dust. So that's definitely a curse. I mean, it even used the word arur, which is unavoidably a curse. So then if the snake is cursed for having a conversation with a woman, how much more are they going to be cursed? It says, Ava. Now, Ava comes from oyev, which is enemy or hatred or loathing. But this would be translated as enmity, the quality of conflict in an enemy way, right? So enmity, badness. Asit, badness you did. Enmity you did. Asa means to make or do. But that's not this word. So let's go and get it. Asit, the dot would be on the left-hand side. This is ashit, and I think asa would be an ayin. So let's go and get it, and let's dig down a little bit. Never to fall into the trap, right? To put. This is the same word. The put or set. This is the same way as we get the name Seth from. When the woman's first and second son are lost to her, one by death and one by expulsion, she eventually gets another son set in his place, and his name becomes set from this word seat. So, effectively, I will put enmity between you and the woman. So who is God speaking to? Well, it's not the man yet. There's no enmity between the man and the woman. There's enmity between the snake and the woman. The Ava, Ashit, Bein Ka or Vein Ha'isha, between you, Ka is you, or Vein Ha'isha, and between the woman. So now there's conflict between the snake and the woman. That's understandable. I don't find that surprising when I see it in real life. Or Vein Zera Ka, and between your seed, or Vein Zera, and between her seed. This Ka is you or yours, masculine. The Hay is the feminine, third person feminine possessive. Zera is your seed. So that means not just in your generation, but the generations to come, there will be conflicts. Who, referring to her seed, who means he, and it refers to her seed. He, Yashuf, he will trample, Lashuf, Rosh, he will trample your head, right? Va'ata, and you, Tashufenu, Akev, his heel, his ekev. But before we go anywhere else, this is actually super important, because God is saying the descendants, the seed of this woman and this snake will be in conflict. The snake is the representation of the Yetzer Hara, the evil inclination, the desire to divert or to choose the one of the choices which is maybe the less ideal choice. And the word is used, shuf, both times. In the case of what he will do to your head, he's going to shuf your head. He's going to trample your head, and you're going to trample his ankle. But that is not just the word for heel or ankle. It's also the word for consequence. Akev means consequence. And if you put a yod on the beginning, Ya'akev is the root of Jacob. So there will be enmity between your descendants and her descendants. And that also means that you will bite at Jacob's ankle and he will trample on your head. Why is this super important? Super important that it's the heel. Because if you were saying to the snake that he would bite at the head of the woman's child, that means the snake will win. He's up top. He's doing the dangerous thing. Snake bites you in the head. That's pretty much it, right? Depending on the snake. But if it bites at your heel, there's hope. There's hope of the trampling. That you have not been overcome by this snake. It is below your feet. And effectively saying what God says to this woman's firstborn son.
Right.
That sin will lie at your door and desire you, but you will overcome it. That's the point. The sin doesn't go away. It's always there. It's always in the back of your mind, tempting you. but it is fully within your power to overcome it. It's never too hard. We're not picking on the Notsri. They're lovely people. I have lots of friends, and I even have family who are Christians. Fabulous people. But we differ somewhat on this telling of this story because I think the outcome of them saying it's all about original sin and we're all marked from the outcome to fail is a terrible thing.
It is a terrible thing. And the other side, conversely, what you just said and what the text says is so important. That is, Hasatan's or the Nachash curse was that you will no longer have the effect on a woman that you had on the woman that you had before. You cannot come in and slither around and deceive her because you'll be at the lowest level.
Right. You'll be down by the feet, not by the ear.
Yes, you can nap at her ankles, but she'll stomp your head. So which means that the power of humanity to overcome these kind of temptations in the midst of the strongest power of free will is greater now than what it was before. That's incredible.
Absolutely. And it keeps on repeating this throughout the Torah. It keeps on saying, you can overcome, you will overcome, you will win this. Even down to the point that the end of the Torah, because I've been told by a wonderful friend among Christians, he said, well, this is why this certain person had to come and die because the law was too hard. But I said, but the Torah itself, from God, says it's not too hard. It's not too difficult. It's not so far away that you'll say, who will go across the sea and come and bring it back for me? Who will go up to heaven and bring it down for me? It is in your hand and in your mouth that you can keep it.
Right.
So God is very clear when giving us a law and a guide for life that is designed for us, and we're capable of keeping. We're capable of overcoming. And as soon as you decide, oh, I'm nothing, I'm rubbish, I'm stupid, as soon as you start saying all those terrible things which you're not allowed to say against someone in the image of God, which is yourself.
Correct.
Then you start to lose that battle. But when you read this book, and this book tells you, no, you are perfectly capable of overcoming all of this difficult stuff, difficult though it may be.
As a matter of fact, I think that we could even take it even further to say, not only are you capable, but you no longer can blame the Nachash on your decisions.
Yeah.
Because he really doesn't have that kind of power over you.
And he only exists so that you can overcome it. He only exists to be beaten, to be trampled on his head.
Oh, that's
and
good.
every time you do, you're empowered a little bit more. Every time you say, you know what, I'm not going to do that thing that I'm always tempted to do. I'm going to go and do this instead. I'm going to do something positive. I'm going to go and help someone. I'm going to go feed someone. You just get more and more empowered and powerful, and you fix the world so there's more room in the world for God.
Yes. That is incredible. Let's move on. Let's get some more.
Yes.
Here we go.
Absolutely. So, Ata tashufenu akev. You will trample his heel, which is already sounds much easier to trample a head with a foot than it is to trample a heel with a snake. Right. They're not big tramplers, you know. It's all like going around on their bend. It says, El ha'isha amar. To the woman, he said, Harba, so greatly, erba, I will increase. You can see that the root of these is rav, and that means big or many. So many will I increase. Itzvonech. Atzav is sadness or difficulty. Itzvon is making that into a noun. And eich is feminine possessive, for second person feminine possessive. So your suffering, greatly I will increase your suffering. V'heronech, and this is your herons. So like a stork, right? So you're going to have difficulty in childbirth and lots of herons hanging around. Maybe there's to carry the babies to the citrus. Sorry, I shouldn't be silly with it. But Har is a mountain. And often in the Torah, someone to be tahar means to become pregnant. Now, never say this to a pregnant woman. Oh, by the Bible, you have become a mountain, because you will get something heavy and hard thrown at your head. It's a mistake. I caution you against it. But all the same, that's the principle behind it. It says here, Aaron is the physical condition. Aaron, how's your physical condition? So the idea is saying, greatly I will expand your hard labor and your pregnancies. The har is to become pregnant. Okay, let's go back. So his consequences is someone's going to be stamping on his head. Her consequences are pregnancy is going to be difficult. which nowadays we take for granted as an aspect of life. You know, still I should fetch you a hot water bottle and that chocolate bar you really like, but it's not cursed like someone's going to come and jump on your head. But Eitzev, in difficulty or sadness, Teildi, you will birth Banim.
Mm-hmm.
But Banim, children, are not a curse.
Right.
They are a blessing.
Yes.
If one guy's curse is someone's going to jump on your head, and the other person's curse is you're going to have difficulty, but it will result in babies,
Mm-hmm.
that is not a curse.
Right.
That's growing up, right? So, then he says, "V'yomer Adonai Elohim el hanachash." No, I've somehow got repeated slides here. I muchly apologise. But here comes the bit that could be considered a curse. The difficulty in childbirth, women are tough. They're the tougher of the species. They can cope with that. We'd rather they didn't, but all the same. Here's the real difficulty. Okay, Tail di banim. In difficulty you will have children. V'el isheich, and to your man. So ish is man. Eich is the feminine possessive, second person feminine possessive. So to your man, teshukateich. Now, you've been to the Middle East. You've been to a shuk, right? A shuk is a market. Because it's the creation of desire. They're trying to get you to want things. So teshuka take is your desire. So to your man, you will desire. That's the real difficulty. Well, this guy, I'm going to be addicted to this schmo for the rest of my life, right? And it says, for who, careful, I'm treading carefully, but I'm reading the Bible. For who, yimshal bach. Now, that means not that he will rule, because rule is yimlach. This is Yumshal. A Malkut is a kingdom. A Mamshelet is a government. So Yimshal is not to rule, but to govern. Now, just like the moon governs the tides, you get a good man, you get a good life. You get a man with a good job, you have a good dinner, right? So he will inevitably govern her life.
If you want to marry a tyrant, then you can find a tyrant to marry.
Right. Avoid it if you can. But that is the consequences of it. So you're going to desire him, and he's going to affect your life.
Yes.
That's the situation. Now, again, you could call it a curse, but really, that's marriage. So when people say God cursed the man and the woman, well, he cursed her with babies, and he cursed him with a job. Let's have a look at what, if we have, yes. Let's have a look at, it's all these repeating. I was so excited about these verses, I kept on putting them in, apparently. Okay. Ula Adam, and to the man, Amar, he said. So God said to the man, Ki shamata lekol ishtecha, because you listened to the voice of your wife, v'tochel min ha'etz, and ate from the tree, asher tziviticha, that I commanded you, lemor, to say, lo tochal mimenu, not to eat from there, arur ha'adama. Arur is cursed. But what is cursed? Does it say cursed is the man? No, that would be arur ha'adam. This is arur ha'adama. Cursed is the ground. So again, he's not cursed. Now, it's not great to be working on cursed earth, but he's just starting out. He's going to start out. It's going to be difficult. It says, Ba'avurecha, because of your sake. But Itzavon, in difficulty, just like she had difficulty in childbirth, he will have difficulty, but Itzavon, Toch lena, the root is achal, which is to eat. The taf is you or she, in this case, you will eat. And na is a feminine plural. Kal yamei chayecha. So by effort, you will eat all the days of your life. Now remember, in the beginning, they were living rent-free with free fruit, free food grown everywhere, running around naked, just like a little kid. You don't charge your toddler rent, you give them food for free. But once they get into their teenage years, their early 20s, and you walk in on them naked with their girlfriend, you go, okay, you're going to get a job. Off you go. You are going to get a job right now. You're going to move out of my house. You're going to marry her, and you're going to have some babies appropriately, young man. I thought I would set this up, So it's not a punishment. It's life. An adult doesn't want their infant child to stay naked, running around the garden, eating the fruit of the trees for the rest of their life. That's fine for toddlers. But when they become an adult, you want to see them thrive. You want to put the sweat of their back into the soil, build a home, have a wife, have babies, and teach them how to be people as well.
I find it interesting before you go on, because we're about 4 minutes left. There is a concept that I'm working on now, actually. This whole concept that things that appear to be a curse, or things that are stated as a curse, this will happen, therefore you are cursed for this, or Abraham or Noah cursed Ham, whatever. I've really looked into it, and each one of those curses actually has a good intent behind it, because if you will do what the curse says, for example, Ham says that he was told that you have to dwell in the tents of Shem. What does the tents of Shem mean? Just answer that.
To study houses. Yeah.
If Ham wanted to correct his ways, he goes and studies in the tent of Shem for the rest of his life. He doesn't. But you understand, within every curse that is Shem, or what is stated in the Torah, it is my theory, and I'm studying it now, that within every curse is the jewel of great prize and blessing for the human. So we're going to find out what that's like, right?
I love it.
Go ahead. We've got about 3 minutes.
Former primary school teacher, right? Current adult teacher. When I give out homework, it's not to punish you. It's to go, you need to study this, and that will improve your situation. How much? If that's a teacher does that, how much more does a parent do that?
Correct. Man, that's so good.
This is the thing. God has no malintentions towards you, and He has no malintentions towards Adam or Chava. There's no just, I'm going to poke you in the ribs to spite you.
Correct.
It's all, just as you say, I think what you're saying rings so true, doesn't it? The idea, I'm going to put something next for you that will get you to the next level, that will elevate you, that will drag you out of where you are and take you to where you will be, where I want you to be.
As I'm going through and pulling out all of the verses where it says, and so cursed so-and-so, when I look at that, I've seen the jewel in every one of them. Now, I'm still having to go back to sources and confirm. Obviously, it's going to take some time, but this is a very profound idea that says that whenever something comes that is a curse, that is sort of, you see something in the scripture that it seems to be a curse, no, it's actually meant to propel you to goodness. It's not to destroy you. It's propel you to goodness.
Absolutely.
So, well, look, we're just about out of time. Do you have anything else you want to wrap up with before we go?
No, I'm excited to get to that final few verses of their story, but I think it needs its time. And then we're going on to their kids, and that's another fascinating story.
It's another fascinating. Look, it's only going to get better from here. So, guys, I'm just going to tell you, save this time on your calendar every day this week, every day on Monday at 10 a.m. to watch our Torah classes. Until next week at the same time, shalom, shalom.